So after a storm one day, I went out and cut up this tree limb that had fallen in the backyard. And I was about to throw it away, and I had an idea. Could I turn this wood into rocket fuel? Now this might sound crazy, but let me explain. Wood is mostly made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's why it burns, giving off CO2 and water. Just like all living things, trees need some other elements to function. That's why all the gray ash is there after you have a bonfire. So back before the 20th century, this ash was commonly used to make soap or lye. Sodium hydroxide is literally called caustic potash in old documents. So my idea was to take this mix of sodium and some potassium hydroxide and carbonate and turn it into regular table salt. From there I would use electrolysis to produce sodium chlorate, which is an oxidizer, and then just add some charcoal or carbon and boom, rocket fuel. So without further ado, I present rocket fuel from wood. So the first thing I did was a bit of a failure, but it's worth mentioning. I took the incompletely burned wood pieces that were covered in ash and I soaked them. Then I took that soak and I filtered it, getting this lovely golden liquid, and a quick test confirmed that it was indeed alkaline. The next step is neutralization with hydrochloric acid and then boiling off the water to get the salt. So, yeah, this result was depressing. The problem was that there was simply not enough ash on that soak, and there was a bunch of dissolved carbon compounds in there, which I really should have seen coming, but whatever. So at this point, I had a stroke of pure genius and realized I had a perfectly good fire pit with pounds of ash at the bottom of it. So I took that lovely pile of ash and I mixed it with water in a jug to dissolve all the sodium salts. Then, just like the previous iteration, I filtered it and neutralized it. This solution was obviously much cleaner and didn't have the milky yellow of the carbon compounds. And from here I did the same boiling thing, repeated that like 5 times until all the ash had been flushed. As you can see, there was still some slight discoloration in the final solid product, but it was much better than before. In order to take out any insoluble stuff left at this stage, I ran it through another filter, and this time I got a clear yellow solution that doesn't look anything really bad, I guess. It's just, yellow. So after this, I boiled it down and waited to figure out how long I needed to electrolyze it. After some assumptions and some calculations, I concluded that, 7 to 8 hours was a safe bet to ensure a good portion of the salt turned into chlorate. One caveat here is that the electrodes are platinum-coated titanium. Literally anything else will just dissolve when you put 5 volts and 12 amps onto it, and it's basically just ultra bleach. The solution needs to be kept around 60 to 80 degrees centigrade in order to form the chlorates. Regardless, the electrolysis cleaned up the solution. I got what I thought was chlorate. So while I was waiting for the solution to boil off, I made some carbon powder for the partially burned wood. Now, I wanted to show a great success with this oxidizer and fuel, but yeah, I couldn't. My oxidizer just wasn't pure enough, and I really didn't feel like trying to purify it anymore, and also the carbon is pretty crappy for fuel. Instead, I opted to use sugar, which has a much larger amount of energy stored up in it. As you can see, it did burn. I made pure potassium chlorate with this same electrolysis method, and it worked very well, and it even burns the carbon pretty vigorously. I really wish I had the drive to purify this wood oxidizer more, but yeah, I don't. So regardless, I'm still very happy with this method of making oxidizer, and I'm very happy that it worked. At some point, I'm going to improve the PVC rocket design and fly them, but for now, I had fun with this little project. Also, pro tip, don't wear any clothes you actually value, because those things are going to get destroyed by that chlorate solution. It's just bleach. It's pure freaking bleach, and it destroys anything that comes near it. So yeah, thanks for watching.